At time of recording, Rebuild of Evangelion is still an ongoing story, as 3+1 has not been released yet. Therefore, there is a lot of fan theories, controversies, and plot holes to be explored. This video is a follow-up on my previous Rebuild video. It is not required for you to watch that video to understand the argument behind this one, but I strongly suggest you to do it before diving into this one. The main purpose of this video is to analyze the most feasible theories given the evidence that we have from the movies. Therefore, all the crazy and baseless theories will be discarded. It is important to understand that Rebuild is its own story. So far, there is no connection whatsoever with the original storyline, which means that any alleged link between the original stories and Rebuilds should be discarded. For example, the theory on Mary being Asuka's mother just because appeared as an Easter egg on a bonus chapter in Sadamoto's manga. This theory is unfeasible right now, mainly because the Mary that appeared on that story is not the same as the one appearing on Rebuilds, as Sadamoto already stated that he put Mary on the manga for fan service, without the authorization of Hideaki Anno. Can that change in the future? Yes, it can, as Anno is known for impulsive decisions. He might accept Sadamoto's story, but then he will be leaving a lot of plot holes open in the Rebuild continuity. As for example, if Mary were in fact Asuka's mother, why then she is about the same age as Asuka, and why in Sadamoto's story she is contemporary of Yui Kari. You can draw your own conclusions. With that being said, we can begin. Let's start with the 4 Adams. If you're an Evangelion fan, you will agree with me that one of the most impactful scenes in the story is the first time we see Adam, the first angel, on Misato's flashback. Adam's role in the story is utterly important, as it explains the origins of the angels, which serve as the main antagonists of the story, including Kaoru. Now, in the extended lore of the original storyline, there is mention on the ancestral race in Neon Genesis Evangelion 2 game, thus becoming canon. The first ancestral race is the one who gave life to Adam and Lilith, the seed of life and the seed of knowledge, both of them from the tree of life. In Rebuild, we have not been introduced to the ancestral race yet. Instead, we have this image from Rebuild 2, which shows 4 beings, being these named the 4 Adams in Rebuild's 1 preview. Adam itself, as we know it from the original run, was removed altogether in Rebuild. Instead, it was replaced by the 4 Adams, and the designation for the first angel fell in Kaoru. There are differences between the Adams, most notably in their eyes. One of them has 3, and their cores. This indicates that the Adams are 4 different beings, and not equals. So, what does this mean? We do not know for sure yet. Let's summarize what we do know. In Rebuild 3, Evangelion Unit 13, that is the dual piloted Evangelion, is one of the Adams, as Mary revealed when achieving Phase 3. Somehow it was captured by Seal after the second impact and turned into an Evangelion unit. Because of the obvious similarities between Unit 13 and Unit 1, we can deduct who the second Adam is. Furthermore, during the near third impact at the end of Rebuild 2, Evangelion Unit 1 revealed a third eye, just like one of the Adams. This is confirmed by Dr. Akagi when, during the event, she stated that Unit 1 is returning to its original shape or form. So, we are missing 2 Adams. We do not have as much information as we do from the previous 2, but when trying to fill in plot holes left by the second and third movie, we can deduct that one of them can be Evangelion Mark 6, the one that was brought from the moon, and the other one being the Key of Nebuchadnezzar, and this theory is based on the fact that it replaces Adam in its embryonic state from the original storyline. Going back to Mark 6, we know that this Evangelion unit came from the moon, there is a lot happening there. So I am going to keep it very simple. People that speculate that Rebuild of Evangelion is in fact a sequel to the end of Evangelion base many of their theories on the moon. As in the end of Evangelion, the moon is splattered by Lilith's blood when beheaded. Now, I cannot debunk those theories as we do not have the full story yet, but we can follow some hints. Angels, when defeated in Rebuild, explode on red liquid or blood. If we follow this lead, then the red marks on the moon are angels' blood. This is a Rebuild 2 storyboard that can help us understand the origin of these blood marks. According to this evidence, on the South Pole there was a shot of red liquid to space during the second impact. Why? Because reasons? Anyway, the moon is splattered by this liquid according to this. Therefore, it's not out of the realms of possibilities that one of the atoms was ejected from the Earth the same way that the liquid was and landed on the moon, explaining Mark 6's origin. So, what about Lilith? Well, she's still Lilith. There are some differences though. Some worth noting is the big scar on her chest, the mask, and the fact that people know who she is. As in the original run, many characters thought that she was Adam. We have little concrete information about Lilith's differences, only speculations. The scar on the chest may be an opening human dissected to reach her core, although there is no concrete reason on doing so. I suppose that it could be professional curiosity maybe. Regarding the mask, she does not have Seal's mask as in the original story, also known as the Seven Eyes of God, but instead, she has an angel's mask, which resembles Sakiel's face. Not only that, but also we can see her eyes. We know from the original run that Lilith was on stasis, as she was aware of what humans, or Lilims, were doing to her. That is part of the reason for Rei 3 behavior on the end of Evangelion. The eyes in Rebuild are more like a statement that she is not only alive and aware of what Lilims are doing to her, but now she's also watching. Notice that the eyes are red, just like Rei and Kaoru's. Let's leave Lilith there for now. We know the angels serve as the main antagonists on the original run. However, in Rebuild, angels as we know them have been demoted on that role. We also know that those that appear are different from those on the series. Not only their name has been removed and their number designations change, but also a big chunk of them do not appear, and new ones have been added. Have to say, not a fan of this decision, as their mythos have suffered from it, but that is only my opinion. In order to destroy an angel, the EVA unit have to do the same thing, reach and destroy their core. But the way they die is now more spectacular, and when destroyed they turn into blood, with rainbows and halos. Why is that? We don't know for sure, and frankly, I do not believe that we are gonna have a straight explanation. Therefore, as far as I am concerned, it's only a creative decision to make scenes more impactful and dramatic. And then there is Kaoru. We know he's an angel, that is for sure. The first one, to be clear. However, it's difficult to argue that he is an Adam clone, like in the original run, unless his soul is kind of a mix of the four Adam souls. Besides that, we haven't received an explanation on why he does not age. We know from Rebuild 3 that the Eva curse prevents children to age, but that should not affect Kaoru, as he is not human, and Rei Q is not Rei, and the Ayanami series do age. So this curse can be legit for Asuka and Mary, but not for Kaoru. There is a lot of speculation if the Kaoru in Rebuild 3 is in fact the same Kaoru as the one in Rebuild 2. We do not have a concrete answer for that. What we do know is that Kaoru himself has a lot of answers. Let's go back to Rebuild 2 flashback. Here we can also notice not one or two, but 4 spears. In the original run, it was established that there were 1 spear of Longinus for each seed from the Tree of Life, 1 for Adam and 1 for Lilith. However, only one appears in the story, Adam's, as Lilith was destroyed on the first impact. Yes, first impact, when dinosaurs extinguished and the Black Moon hit the Earth. In Rebuild there are 4, and as we have 4 Adams now, we can infer that each Adam had 1. Although we do not see the whole shape of 2 of them on this image, the other 2 have the shape of Spear of Longinus. This is important as we know that in Rebuild there is another spear, Cautious, which has a different shape. This may be overthinking as we know that shape shifting is something that the spears can do. According to Kaoru in Rebuild 3, Cassius and Longinus have different purposes. What are those? Again, we do not know. Rebuild's main characters are not the same from the original story. This is very important to understand. They are different ones, even if they look pretty much the same. The most obvious example of it is the change of Asuka's name. In the original run, her full name was Asuka Langley Soryu. In Rebuilds is Asuka Langley Shikinami. Not only her name, but also she is more mentally strong and self-confident than the previous Asuka. Because of this, she never falls into a depression, she just never keeps to sync with her Evangelion unit. Then there is Rei. On my previous videos, including my breakdown analysis on 3+1 teaser, I'd avoided talking too much about Rei to prevent confusion as, once again, she's not easy to explain. But in this video, I will talk a little bit about Rei Q. Now, the easiest and simpler way to understand Rei Q and her role is about the same as Rei 3 on the original run, but with some obvious differences. Bear with me. Rei 1 never appears on Rebuild. We assume that there was a Rei 1, and we assume that the Rei that appears on the first 2 movies is Rei 2, and the Rei that appears on the 3rd movie is Rei 3. So, who is Rei Q? No one. It's a fan-made name to differentiate Rebuild's 3rd movie Rei from Rei 3, as they are in fact different. We do not know how many Reis are on Rebuild continuity. Shinji, who is not utterly broken, as Asuka is more mentally strong, and his character development is more vertical and straightforward. Then there is this shot. Shinji's red eyes have been open to speculation on if he is human at all on Rebuild 3. Yui Ikari's role has also been diminished, as she is not Yui Ikari anymore. On the original run, Gendo took his wife's last name, as his single name was Gendo Rokobungi. Now his name is Gendo Ikari, and Yui's last name is Ayanami. Other of being the source of the Ayanami series, we know way too little about her. Let's end up this video talking about the Evangelion units. The souls within the EVAs do not have much of an influence as on the original run. For example, on Rebuild 1, which is basically a shot-by-shot remake on the original first episodes, do not raise its hand to protect Shinji as in the first episode. Yui's soul does not have that kind of control over Unit 1 anymore. However, the unit goes berserk mainly because of her soul, therefore there is still some kind of influence. Of course, we can see how Evangelion Unit 2 can change forms, more notably the Beast Mode, as we saw on Rebuild 2. So far in the story, this is the only Evangelion unit that has that ability. Finally, it was confirmed that Evangelion Unit 1 is not a Lilith clone, but one of the 4 Adams. Rebuild story is way more vertical and simpler to understand than the original story. Not only because the format has changed from 26 episodes to only 4 movies, but also it has to be more straightforward to general audiences. Nevertheless, there are a lot of plot holes to be filled, symbolism to be interpreted, and stories to be told. Guys, thank you all so much for watching. I am currently developing a set of videos regarding Rebuild of Evangelion. I publish Evangelion and other anime content on my channel each week. Make sure to subscribe and like this video if you did, and of course, as always, I wish you all a wonderful day.